I truly believed I was doing the right thing. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was mature. I went to stay with my ex as friends, and I never imagined my husband would be waiting for me when I came back. That moment changed my life in a way I still struggle to explain. My name is Emily. I'm 40 years old, and until that weekend, I thought I understood my marriage. I had been married to my husband, Paul, for 8 years. We lived in a quiet town in Virginia, the kind where neighbors wave and weekends are slow. Paul was dependable, steady, and kind. He never raised his voice. He never made me feel unsafe. But over time, our marriage had become quiet in a way that felt empty to me. Before Paul, there was Aaron. Aaron was my first serious love. We dated in our 20s. The relationship was intense, emotional, and full of big dreams. We broke up because we wanted different futures, not because the feelings disappeared. Over the years, we stayed loosely in touch. Birthday messages, occasional check-ins, nothing more, at least that's what I told myself. One evening, Aaron messaged me saying he was going through a rough time and needed someone familiar to talk to. I felt that old sense of responsibility rise up in me. I told Paul that Aaron had asked to talk. Paul didn't love the idea, but he trusted me. That trust would later haunt me. When Aaron suggested I come stay for the weekend, I hesitated. I told myself I'd get a hotel, but he insisted his guest room was fine. I told myself we were adults. I told myself as friends meant something solid. I told Paul I was going to help an old friend who was struggling. I said nothing more. He nodded, kissed my forehead, and told me to drive safe. That should have stopped me. The drive there was long and quiet. I kept rehearsing boundaries in my head. What I would say, what I wouldn't allow. I truly believed I was in control. When I arrived, Aaron greeted me with a familiar smile. He looked older, softer, but the connection felt instant. We talked for hours that first night, about our past, about regrets, about life choices. He apologized for things he never apologized for before. I cried without meaning to. He asked if I was happy. I said yes. But even as I said it, my chest felt tight. That night, I stayed in the guest room. Nothing physical happened. Still, I lay awake thinking about what my life could have been if I had made different choices. That thought alone felt like betrayal. The next day, we went for coffee, then took a long walk. Aaron told me he still cared about me. I reminded him I was married. He said he respected that, but his eyes said something else. By Sunday morning, I knew I had crossed a line, not with my body, but with my heart. I packed quickly, feeling heavy and confused. When I drove back home, I felt nervous but relieved. I planned to talk to Paul honestly. I believed honesty would fix everything. When I pulled into the driveway, Paul's car was already there. That surprised me. When I walked inside, Paul was standing in the living room, calm but distant. He didn't hug me. He didn't ask about the trip. He just said, "How was your weekend?" I started explaining. I said nothing happened. I said we talked. I said I went to help a friend. Paul listened quietly, then said something that took the air out of my lungs. "I know you stayed with him." My heart dropped. He told me he had checked our phone records, that something in his gut told him to look deeper. He said he didn't want to believe it, but the truth was sitting right in front of him. "I trusted you," he said softly, "but trust doesn't mean ignoring reality." I tried to defend myself. I repeated the words as friends over and over like they were armor. Paul shook his head. "You don't stay with an ex overnight if you're fully present in your marriage." That hurt because it was true. He told me that while I was gone, he sat alone all weekend thinking about us, about how I had grown distant, about how I leaned emotionally towards someone else instead of him. "I didn't wait for you to come home to explain," he said. "I waited to see if you'd come back choosing me." I started crying, telling him I made a mistake, that I never planned to hurt him, that I just needed closure. He looked at me with sadness, not anger. "Closure doesn't come from reopening doors," he said. "It comes from deciding which door to close." Paul told me he had packed a bag for himself but decided to wait. He wanted to hear the truth from me, not pieces. For the first time, I told him everything, not just about the weekend, but about the doubts I had been hiding for years, the restlessness, the fear of settling, the comparisons I never admitted out loud. Paul listened, then he said something that changed how I see love. "You didn't betray me by visiting your ex," he said. "You betrayed us by letting someone else become the place you ran to emotionally." He told me he was hurt, but more than that, he was tired of being the safe choice instead of the chosen one. He didn't ask for a divorce that night, he asked for space. I moved into the guest room. The house felt cold and unfamiliar. Over the next weeks, we started counseling. Slowly, carefully. Paul said he wasn't sure if trust could be rebuilt, but he wanted to try. I cut contact with Aaron completely. No explanations, no goodbyes. I learned something painful through this experience. Being friends with an ex isn't always about friendship. Sometimes it's about unfinished emotions we're afraid to confront. And sometimes the person waiting for you isn't waiting to punish you, but to see if you'll finally come back choosing them. I almost lost my marriage chasing clarity from the past. And I realized too late that what I really needed wasn't closure with my ex. It was honesty with myself.